What's up, folks? 7 weeks in the book. We're halfway through the regular season for the fantasy football season. Here we go, week 8. It's the waiver wire time. Let's roll. Yo, what's happening, everybody? It's Brian at @too_much_Brian on the Twitter if you're looking for me there. This is another edition of Walking the Wire. This is our waiver wire episode for Too Much Fantasy Football on the Fantasy Football Advice Network. What's up? How we doing? All right. What a great week we've got in front of us, right? We're pretty pumped. I feel like I've got an echo. Why do I feel like I have an echo? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Holler at me in the chat if you think I've got an echo. Otherwise, it might just be something in my office. Who knows? But what's up? Week 7's in the books. Is it me or does everybody like 3-4 or 4-3? All of my leagues, I feel like that's the majority of what it is. Nobody's undefeated. You got a couple teams with just the 1 or 2 losses, but everybody's just middling right there in the pack. You can't complain too much, right? It's not too bad. But yes, we're going to be going through waiver wire stuff here while we're waiting for people to get rocking and rolling. Let's check out what's happening all over the place. A little this, a little that, you know what I mean? As always, if you're watching, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. Whether it be start, sit, trade, waiver wire stuff, all that amazing things. We're going to be going over, well, as much as I can. We got an hour. Let's see what we can get done. So starting off, injuries. All right, Juju. See you, buddy. Hamstring. He had a bit of an issue going into the weekend, and it looked like he pulled it. So Juju's going to be out a few weeks. Do we finally see the Chiefs make a trade? Do we finally get to see them dabble in that trade market? I mean, Devontae Adams, that wasn't happening. You know, division rival. There was no way we're going to see that happen. But Amari Cooper, I thought it made so much freaking sense for them to go after Amari Cooper. So that one's off the board. DeAndre Hopkins, Cooper Kupp. We're seeing rumors right now. Just as I was hopping on, I'm seeing talks that the Rams are looking to trade him. So does he go to the Chiefs? If so, I mean, we get excited every time Patrick Mahomes gets a new wide receiver. But if he were to get Cooper Kupp, put him pipe dream there. We're getting too excited. DK Metcalf, knee injury, carted off to the locker room. Looks like he is okay. We're not going to have too many issues with DK. He might miss a week. It's week to week from what we're seeing. JSN, do we finally get something to play with him? I was this close to dropping the dude. This freaking close. And then the DK news happened. So he might get a little bit of life going forward, but we'll have to check out the practice report, see what happens there. Oh, Deshaun Watson. Sorry, buddy. Achilles injury. Out for the season. Okay, we're not happy he got hurt. You know, that sucks. But what we are happy about, we're going to, the silver lining, the glass half full, we get Jameis Winston. It may be DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Hopefully we don't get him, just because Jameis Winston, we know he's not a great quarterback, but he's good enough for fantasy football. And that's what we're playing here. We're not playing real football. Montgomery left the game with a knee injury, but he was able to come back. Didn't look great. You kind of saw him hobbling there a little bit, bouncing around, but he came back into the game. Still not a full workload for the guy, but we're hoping it doesn't keep him out any. Jaden Daniels, rib injury. Got knocked around a little bit. Dude takes some hits. He's a skinny fella. It's weird that Anthony Richardson's built as big as he is, and he's the one that constantly gets hurt. And then there's Jaden Daniels, who's significantly skinnier, and he's just fine. His mom tweeted out, looks like he is A-OK. Looking like a day-to-day at this point. Might be one of the busier weeks. Oh, hello. Of course, it's Corey. Here he comes. Corey, don't you have some work to do? I'm pretty sure we were supposed to be working on something. It's okay, folks. We can't keep him away. It's too much Corey, or he wants to be there. Waiver week, it's going to be... It's full of it. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot to break down here. It's kind of hard to point people in a certain direction just because at this point there's going to be so many things that are team specific, league specific. Like I said, I feel like most leagues I'm in, people are like 3-4, 4-3. If you're lucky, if you've got that 4 wins, those 5 wins, maybe even that 6th win, you're looking pretty good. But at this point, we're going to be all over the place and quite a bit to look at here. Other injuries, we've got Aiden O'Connell Thumb injury, 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks might be what we're looking at. He did hit IR, so it's going to be at least 4. I mean, Gardner Minshew coming back, we saw what that is. Is it exciting? Is it not? It's not the worst thing in the world, right? It's doable. Brock Bowers, he can still be a tight end 1 with them, so I think that's what we're really taking away here. Brennen Ayuk. Look, the Niners had a great run. What's it been? 4, 5, 6 years that they've been incredibly competitive. It finally came at them. Hang on, sorry. I've been watching this channel shorts of the guy saying start Tank Dell, LOL. Hey, you would think Tank Dell would be a great start, Nico Collins being out. But, yeah, 0 for 4 last week, that was hard. That was rough. So, are you dropping him? Are you dropping Tank Dell knowing that there's points to be had on that team? That was rough. Yeah, Corey, no one saw Tank Dell in it. I'm right there with you, man. He should have been more productive. Wasn't a guy I was incredibly high on this week, but I was still willing to start him, still putting him out there as a wide receiver 3 with some upside. So it's a difficult one to chuck out there. Back to Brennen Ayuk, yeah, carted off the field, torn ACL, done. We're going to be talking about some wide receivers here in a little bit that can fill in for him. Demario Douglas, more relevant in probably a 12-plus man team league, but he cut me deep. Starts out the first couple drives, 2 catches. His over-under was 3.5. Guy leaves the game sick. I was sick. That's what happened there. It was ridiculous. And then who else do I have on here? Tyler Huntley. We don't have to talk about that because Tua's back. Tua's practicing, folks. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, Mostert even. Let's go, folks. I'm freaking pumped. I really can't say enough how badly I need Tua to come back out there, which who'd have thought I'd be saying that, Good player, but is he really great? Seems like that's all McCarthy's able to work with right now. Checking the chat. Can't think of a channel I watched that didn't put him as a must-start this week. Hey, I'm right there with you, Corey. I can't tell you who I would have suggested over him, just because it's all hindsight. It always is. I mean, how many of these guys could you have pegged to have bad weeks this week? Just a quick scroll through here. Just this past week's performance. What do we have? I mean, oh man, oh shit, these are all. Anyway, bad example. Moving on, folks. Moving on. Let's talk. No questions in the chat. If y'all do have anything, throw them in there. We'll talk about them. For right now, let's talk some waiver wire. Running backs. Oh, okay. Of course, as soon as I say that, here comes the question. Matthiason. Matt Hyason? I like Matt Hyason. We're going to go with that. We're going to have a little fun with it there. Matthiason. I'm trying to trade Dell and Bigsby for Harrison Jr., last place team. I don't know if they'll do it, though. Bench both those guys. Gibbs, Walker, Kyron, and main league, and I bench Dell. That's going to be rough, trading Dell and Bigsby for Harrison Jr., especially if they're the last place team. If they have a glimmer of hope, I think that you might be able to get them to trade. But if they're out of it, they don't even have a chance to make the playoffs, and you guys don't have a last place a punishment. It's gonna be hard to get them to trade anything. Right now, in one of my leagues, I've got 3 teams at the bottom, all with 1 win, and nobody's willing to budge for a trade just because they're dead in the water. They don't want to help me out any. They just want to take their players and run off with them. Even if they weren't last place, or if they were willing to move it, that's kind of a stretch for me. I think it's going to be how much they're into Bigsby. Harrison had to have some rough games, but I see his ceiling so much higher than either one of them. It would be hard for me personally to move off of Harrison. If you have Gibbs, Walker, and Kyron, yeah, you're looking pretty at running back. I'd look to flip Bigsby as quick as I possibly could, just because we're not exactly sure if they're going to get that game script always. So many bad performances this week all over the league. Been the story of the whole season, really. You know what? We say this season. I feel like it's every season, Corey. How many times are we making excuses? Oh, it's the worst injury season we've ever seen. Oh, it's the worst performance. It's every freaking week. It's every year. I don't know why we keep coming back. Some of us have problems. Not pointing any fingers at who has problems there. Corey. Matthias, and what else you got? Dell was definitely not a must start. I think that's kind of up in the air. maybe not necessarily a full must start, but if you're in 12 plus team leagues, he definitely was a must start. It was hard to find. I mean, let me just pull up some of these wide receivers. Khalif Raymond, he finishes as wide receiver 19. You're saying you were going to start Khalif Raymond over Tank Dell? Jalen Naylor, KJ Osborne, Van Jefferson, Josh Palmer. I mean, I'm not starting any of them over Dell. I definitely would have put Dell in over all of them. Nick Westbrook Akine. I'm diverting off the topic here. Just on this guy alone, holy crap, is he annoying. 2 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. Why? Nobody's owning him. Nobody wants to own him. Nobody wants to own Tyler Boyd. Because Nick Westbrook Akine is the 4th freaking option. And we've got guys like Ridley and Hopkins who can be started in some league. Or not can, they could have been started. Just kills me. But yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard for me to say, hey, don't start CJ Stroud's number 1 or number 2 option. Like, that seems dumb to me in hindsight. But it's always, I mean, it's a week-by-week thing. I didn't think it would be a 0, though. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the point. You may have thought he was going to be bad, but nobody called a goose egg? Are you kidding me? In this game that should have been a shootout between freaking Love and Stroud, 2 of the best young gunslingers we've got right now? Not a 0. Michael, what's happening? What can I get for Olave in terms of an RB? My team is insane, and I'm trying to grab Jettis and Gibbs, so Olave won't even start for me because my wide receivers are so insane. Gibbs and Olave, I don't think it's a bad starting place to go after Jefferson. And 2, if you're looking at the rumors that Matthew Stafford might be heading up to the Vikings, so now they'll have 2 quarterbacks to choose from after Sam Darnold inevitably, pops. Yeah, I definitely start with. I mean, I don't know. It's so hard. Justin Jefferson's so hard to trade for. I think a lot of it determines, like, it's by the players in your league. I think it's a great place to start, though. If you can trade Gibbs, especially off this big week, there's speculation of how hurt is Montgomery. Does Gibbs continue to roll like he did last year in that stretch? So, yeah, I definitely think that's a good starting space. Go for the 2 for 1. Gibbs Olave, like you said, for Jefferson, I definitely think it's a nice one to go for. I'm thinking maybe Swift. If you can trade away Swift, sure. DeAndre Swift is such a hard running back to look at because if you look at his splits between the first 6 weeks, the first 3 weeks, and the second 3 weeks, his usage was virtually identical. His rush share, his target percentage, virtually identical. I think his target share was up just a touch. But when you're looking at that, and it's just the huge difference between whether he was successful or not, that's so hard for me to buy into. This offensive line for the Bears isn't great. And, I mean, they've got a decent setup going forward. I'm trying to look at who they have these next few weeks. They've got Washington this week, who we thought was an easy matchup, but they've played a lot better than we expected. Arizona, same thing. We thought they were going to be a cakewalk for running backs. And, I mean, we saw just last night they gave some trouble. So after that, New England, that one's be a good game. Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit. So I don't know. I just don't know if I loved DeAndre Swift's long-term usage, especially looking at the playoffs. He's got Minnesota, Detroit, and then Seattle. So it's just wow. He's got Minnesota, Detroit 4 of 5 games, and it's mounting the Niners. So yeah, Swift would be a player I'm looking to move on from just because of how good he's been playing. Corey, I think the Jags try to trade ETN. Unfortunately, with the win, I think that their owner is going to be delusional enough to try and hold on to any glimmer of hope, because I think Christian Kirk is a great trade away candidate. He's in the last year of his contract. He would plug in great with the Chiefs in that Rashee Rice role, just that slot receiver. But I'd love to see ETN get moved. Let's move it around. The fact that these GMs are treating this season almost like fantasy football with the amount of trades they have and just the conversations we get to hear through like Hard Knocks and shit like that, it's been absolutely great. So I don't know who trades for ETN. Cowboys, their season's about sunk. But I mean, look at the Jets. They're 2-5 and 2-4, and they traded for a player. Michael's back in here with the 2 trades. I would have Aaron Jones, Swift, Amon-Ra, Nico, Jettas for my RBs with Chubb, Madison on the bench. Chubb and Madison's nice bench. Not necessarily huge ceiling plays right now, but definitely a great floor. We got Matthiasen back here. I start Pop Douglas, Addison Neighbors over Dell, Cooper Downs. Yeah, I would have. I mean, Douglas disappointed big time, but he was ill. I really didn't catch any of that in the report. I don't remember. Probably wouldn't have placed as many bets on him as I would have. Cooper caught the touchdown, but if you look, I believe it was less than 30% of snap utilization for him. So, that was, you could see it coming. Just, a new player gets the touchdown, but he really didn't get used a lot. And then downs, yeah, that one's rough. Odunze bye week, Pearsall on my IR. Pearsall, you save some money right there having him easily picked up. Started May over Stroud and Darnold. Yeah, I would have done that. I mean, we see the Jags they're allowing a top 12 performance to every quarterback this season. Michael's coming back. No, just Jay Jettis for Gibbs 1-for-1. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was saying. I think that's a great starting point. If you can get Gibbs straight up for Jefferson, I think that's awesome. Otherwise, you might have to start throwing in a few of those like kind of waiver wire pieces like that. Trying to say we're going to good because. Oh yeah, Olave won't start. Albert, what's happening, man? How we doing? Always here. It seems like every stream we see Albert here hanging out with us. I traded Jefferson and Moss for Gibbs and Wandale a couple weeks ago. That's not bad. That's not bad. Moss, if you were able to get rid of him, that's great. I do love Jefferson's schedule going forward. Honestly, I've tried to pick up pieces, whether it be him, Addison, or Hawkinson. Always price, but I love Minnesota's scheduling going forward, and just knowing that Matthew Stafford might be going there. Folks, let's get dirty in Minnesota. I love it. The Wandale call, that's all you. I know his targets are ridiculous, but they're Kmart targets, That's weird using two big brands like that. They're targets, they're from Daniel Jones, so how excited do you really get with Daniel Jones, The sweatpants, they don't really move when he's back there. I know he's been getting it done for Neighbors, but I don't know. I think I'm more just a hater the more I look at it because his targets are insane. Michael, trying to trade Olave for Swift. Do you think their values are similar? Yeah, I think about there. It's kind of hard with Olave having Rattler back there as the quarterback. I think once we get more definitive news on Derek Carr, he might be a little easier to move. But right now, there's so many question marks floating in the air. I think it's going to be like kind of, player by player determining if they see that upside. Because with Rashid Shaheed gone, Olave should take a bigger step forward once Carr comes back. But who knows if that's where we're going. Tyler, Otten or Ferguson? Now, I just finished writing my targeted article for the week. I will say Otten was in there, but, I mean, how do you not put him in there? With Mike Evans missing a few weeks on the hamstring injury, and then Chris Godwin going away for what they said is indefinitely. I think it was the word that was used. I've got Otten 14 this week. Ferguson, I've got him at 10 going up against San Francisco. So I think Ferguson was going to be the call. Dallas, that offense should start humming a little bit more. Sorry, I got distracted with this. Also, thoughts on Bateman, 6 targets in game, 3 games straight. We're talking about Bateman, I'm sure. The Batman thing totally threw me off. Yo, Bateman, what's up with that? Matt Harmon, huge fan of his. Over the summer, he kind of came out with some stuff talking about how Bateman's not cooked. We might still see something from him. I mean, he's the first round receiver that Lamar seems to like the most. Zay Flowers, what happened, man? Zay Flowers last few weeks, he's done pretty well. Wide receiver 11 2 weeks ago against Washington, but last night 1-for-1, 11 yards, one 19-yard carry as well. But Bateman, I believe it's been going back, 4 catches in 3 straight games, 121 yards, 71 yards, 58 yards. He's got 3 touchdowns on the season, 2 in the last 3 games. I don't hate it. I think he's going to be a matchup situation. I think that's going to be what you're looking for, like really with all the pieces in Baltimore. It seems that Derrick Henry and Lamar are essentially, you can play them, any week. It doesn't really matter on them. But it's the Mark Andrews, the Flowers, and now it looks like Bateman that might be, you're looking for those shootouts. You're looking for those games where a lot of points can be scored. Offenses that like to stop the run and let you go through the air. So this coming week, they've got Cleveland. I don't know. Is Jameis Winston going to be out there? Are they going to keep it competitive? Are they going to force the Ravens to actually throw it? I don't know. I think Bateman's a great speculative ad, but as far as actually playing him, it's balls of steel. Like you've got to have some stones to throw Bateman out there. I think I've got him in dynasty leagues, and he still hasn't made the start yet this year for me. Can I get Pearsall, Shakir, or Coleman? I imagine that's Pearsall, that first one. I like Pearsall, I think, the most out of all of them. Coleman, sure, I get it, he's a rookie, so I understand the speculative ad there, but I don't think that they don't pass enough. So if Amari Cooper's coming in there taking whatever percentage he is, and Coleman is too, I just don't think Coleman's going to see enough consistent work. Coleman saw the work that he saw with Amari Cooper barely playing this past week. So I don't think we're going to see Coleman really be consistent, and that's my biggest fear with him. Shakir, he's probably going to continue being a decent floor play. 7 catches this past week, going back 7 targets, 2 targets, 5, 6, 5. Decent floor play, especially in a 12-team league. Once you get a little smaller than that, I don't really like the play. I think you have bigger boons that you could be swinging for as a 10-team league. But Coleman had 7 targets, 4 catches, 75% of the snaps. It was Amari Cooper, 35% of the snaps. And he pulled in 5 targets for 66 yards and a touchdown. So, I don't know. I really don't know what to play with the Bills out. I mean, hell, we can't get Kincaid to be consistent. Why would we think that Coleman's going to, you know? Oh, Tyler hitting us with car practice Monday. Shut up. Let's go, because the Rattler experience, it should be over. Complete throwing session. Ooh, sorry. A lot of talking. Got to wet the whistle. It's my Friday, folks. Don't judge. Get up at 3. So, you know, the whole 5 o'clock p.m. rule, whatever it is. Yeah, we're good. Derek Carr looks like completes throwing session Monday. We'll continue to throw Tuesday. That's good. We want that. Olave, I think it just boosted quite a bit there. Mathiasen jumping in here. Bateman better be started over some of those bums. Start the hot hand. Seeing people start Hill and seeing people have Hill in their top 20s is, hey, it's Tyreek Hill. I completely get it. I finally bumped him out of my wide receiver 2 range a few weeks ago. Kind of have to look at him as like a middling wide receiver 3 just because of the upside, but how many people are really willing to say, yes, I will start Bateman over Tyreek Hill? It's crazy. I don't get it. What you're saying makes sense. I'm right there with you, man. When you've got the targets, when you've got just such easy metrics to follow. But it hurts. It hurts because when Bateman turns into a pumpkin, that one game that you finally started him, it's what just pisses you off, and that's where the emotion part of fantasy football kicks in, and it's kind of hard to go with that. Awesome. We throw up. So we're talking about running backs. Did we get through all these? All right, so yeah, Ray Davis needs to be picked up. Tank Bigsby, he's probably been picked up in a lot of the leagues, but he's out there. Love the throwback koozie. Yeah, Corey, you know it. Oh, yeah, got this free at the Fantasy Football Expo from somebody. I don't remember who showed it to me, but you know. Yep, it's Fantasy Football Expo koozie. You guys know what that is? Fantasy Football Expo? No, not that one. I'm talking about the Fantasy Football Advice Network. Yes, that place.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
All right, folks, we had to get that in there. You know, the boss is down there heckling me, making sure that I do the job. Yeah, Fantasy Football Advice Network. You guys want to ask questions for me or anybody else that's out there? That's the place to go. It's a social media platform for just football, baseball, basketball. We're growing for fantasy sports, but it's everything you want there, whether you're a content creator or consumer. All the fun stuff's there. So if you miss out on asking us questions in these live streams, that's where to find us. Back to running backs. Madison, if he's still out there, the dude is steady Eddie. He's not pretty. It's not sexy, but it's a play. Tyrone Tracy is somebody else that needs to be picked up. I think he's carving on a roll. This offense looks, they've got glimmers. There's times that they look good. They are playing the Steelers this week, But Singletary, I think he's losing it to Tyrone Tracy. He looks good. Oh, excuse me. Jalen Warren. I mean, how do you say pick up Jalen Warren when Najee's had back-to-back 100-yard games? Well, his efficiency is great, but his usage is going down. Najee's is. So Warren seems to be finally healthy, question mark. I think he's going to continue to be used in this offense. And the Steelers have a rough schedule going forward. I really think that Najee's a huge sell, especially coming off 200-yard games. This is probably going to be about peak value, what you're going to get for him. You know, right in the middle of the season, running back, or, you know, injuries are heavy. People are looking for players, and he's coming off 2 great games. Let's sell the fella. Who else do we have here? Goodson. I think JT should be back this week. He really should be. Playing against Texans are going to be hard regardless. They're really good at stopping the run. But it looks like Tyler Goodson's the guy to own out of him and Sermon. Sermon's, he is what he is. He's a guy. Kamani Vidal, if you are a team that's 4, 5, 6, 7 wins, probably 5, 6, 7 wins, this guy needs to be owned. If you're a J.K. Dobbins owner, probably needs to be owned Vidal as well. Electric. Absolutely electric, this little guy. Rookie, he'd be the first one to plug in for J.K. Dobbins, especially with Gus Edwards gone. Deontay Johnson, nope. That's not Deontay Johnson. Dearness Johnson for the Jags. If we do see ETN possibly get moved, he continues to lose time because of the injury. Dearness Johnson is probably going to be the guy you're going to want to own in poor game scripts. I know Bigsby looked great this week, but it was against the Patriots. They were favored. You can run on the Patriots. Dearness Johnson is going to be the guy to own in games that they're far behind. And then Rashod Johnson. Talked about the Bears. I talked about how I'm not a huge fan of Swift. It's a lot of that. It's because it's the love for Rashod Johnson. I think that this guy is just a bell cow back. I think he can do it all, but he won't because Swift got paid a 3-year deal for going into this year. So best case scenario is he's going to turn into like a flex plus. And those are kind of the big guys. If there's anybody else out there, throw them out there. We can talk about them. That's all I'm seeing on my list. Roll on! Wide receivers, here we go. This is the meat, the juice, and it's essentially like 2 or 3 players from every team. It's kind of bonkers here. Starting off, Juwan Jennings, yes, the guy you picked up 4 weeks ago and then dropped a couple weeks after. This guy has a relationship with Brock Purdy. Clearly, they've got some sort of connection. I don't know if they have like Fortnites where they're hanging out in their forts. Isn't that what the kids are doing with Fortnite? But whatever the hell is happening, they've got a sweet connection there. So I think he's looked at as a good ad. And then also Ricky Pearsall, Slick Rick, that dude. I mean, he came back from the injury. He's all cleared up, got gauze in his hole. He's no longer running around with the gunshot wound. So I think this first round pick, he looked decent. He's still going to take him a little time to get him up to speed, get him acclimated. But I think that Pearsall is going to be a solid pick. Got some questions happening here. T-Money, what's happening? I have Rome. Ooh, Jalen McMillan. Judy, Wicks. Pop Douglas. Should I drop D-Hop for any? Just holding D-Hop in case he gets dealt to the Chiefs. Yeah, I don't mind that. If you're able to hold on to D-Hop, I don't mind that just on that speculation. It seems like the Chiefs, they just keep running through wide receivers, so why wouldn't they trade for one? Out of what you have there, I think Judy and Wicks would probably be the first 2 that would be dropped for me. Pop Douglas should come into more. We really didn't get a fair shot at seeing him against the Jags just because of that sickness. He kind of left the game early. Dontavian Wicks, he is what he is. The dude's going to catch maybe 50% of the balls, and it's going to be him or Watson, and then it's going to be Dobbs or Reed. Dobbs and Reed are more the possession-style receivers, and then you've got Wicks and Watson that are catching the big ones. And then Tucker Kraft's in there just to screw everything up. So if you're able to kind of go with the lumps, I think Dontavian Wicks is going to be like a guy you play every other week, 2 of every 3 weeks kind of a thing, and you're just hoping you get it right with the touchdown. Jalen McMillan, though. Let's get it. So we've got Mike Evans out for 2 to 4-ish games. Hamstring injury could be a little longer because he's kind of re-aggravated it. Godwin, looks like we've lost him for the season. Jalen McMillan's the guy that plugs in. 69% of his routes, I believe, are from the slot. That's where Chris Godwin was playing. That's where Chris Godwin's had so much success in this offensive scheme. And I think he's going to be the guy to own. If you make a shot for anybody, I think he's probably where I'm dumping most of my fab if I do some sort of fab dump this week. I don't mind. Ricky Pearsall's up there too. I think it's going to be between him and McMillan that I'm really going after, though. D-Hop, you want to roll the dice? I don't think it's a bad one. There's a couple of those guys. I mean, Amari Cooper was impossible to own or want to hold on to, but he was still worth trading for a couple of weeks ago, just knowing that he was inevitably going to get moved. Logan, oh, what's crack-a-lackin'? Hey man, what's up? If you don't mind, you can rank my team. I'm 3-4 and worried. I mean, cautiously optimistic is where I'd be at 3-4. You can still come back. We've got Kyler, JT, Brees, Tyree. Okay, so there it is. Moore, DJ Moore. I was thinking Elijah Moore just because I was thinking Browns. Marv, BTJ. Oh my God. Okay, 10-man. I was going to say it's a really good team if it's 12. 10-man, it's still a solid team. Your big issue there is, I mean, you see it right there. Tyreek Hill, probably your first-round pick. His quarterback's been gone. So Tua's coming back. That should inevitably fix that. DJ Moore's been a little streaky, but Caleb's looking better, so we're hoping better days are ahead for him. Brees Hall, he's got an amazing schedule coming up with the Jets, so I'd be excited about that. And the new play caller for him loves to run the ball. I know they've got these great receivers there, but clearly Rodgers ain't getting it done. Yep. What else? Brian Thomas Jr. is as close to a league winner as you call him, just as far back as you got him in the draft. Looks so damn good. So damn good. Like, he looks better than Marvin Harrison Jr. right now. Hell yeah. And then Ferguson, I think he's a solid tight end. You want to make a move, go get David Njoku. I think that he's going to be a league-winning tight end going down the stretch, just with the situation that they're working with. Your running backs are pretty good. Maybe you look to beef it up inside your bench with like some like high upside running backs, kind of like we were talking about with some of these guys. You've got Davis, you got Tracy, Vidal, like all those guys. I think are great picks for you if you just looking for those like high upside swings later on. But I think the team's solid. I mean, most of your can be explained based on like Kyler's been streaky. Hall's been for the first few weeks, Hill. So I don't think you're a bad team. A lot of teams are 3-4, 4-3. Most of I'm in 19 leagues. I was in 20. Guillotine. Got cut. So yeah, I'm in 19 leagues now, and I would say massive majority of the redraft style leagues are 4-3, 3-4. I think this is the point of the season where you need to get that roster churned, pick up some of these pieces now, and really make those steps going forward. Thyson's coming back. Douglas has 3 straight tough matchups: Jets, Titans, and Bears. Yeah, it's not pretty out there. We're gonna find out if Drake May is for real or not. I think that's going to be apparent just because he had 2 easier matchups we got excited about, especially against the Jets. But the Jets also, they give you confidence. So maybe Drake May is going to go out there and he's going to play decent. No, these teams can get after the quarterback, so Drake May is going to struggle. But I think you're just kind of playing on Douglas, just sheer on volume. Between him and Hunter Henry, they should get absolutely peppered with targets, even if they don't have opportunities to go deep. I think Douglas might be looked at there. But again, it's all about your league, what you're looking at, what you have sitting around you. Cool. Any more questions or anything like that? Toss them in. Ooh, sorry. Still has got me all burpy right now. Not bad. Wide receivers we're looking at. Yes, we talked about the 49ers guys. Next up, we've got Dobbs and Wicks. I kind of touched on Wicks just a second ago. You know what you're getting with these guys. 3 of the 4 are going to be playable out of, Wicks, Watson, Dobbs, and Kraft. 2 guaranteed should be played each week. 3 of them probably can get away with. There's probably going to be some matchups where they look good, but overall, these players, they're crapshoots. You're looking for the touchdowns. They're volatile pieces. You got Coleman on there. I talked about him. I'm not exactly thrilled with picking up Coleman or Shakir. I think, obviously, Amari Cooper is going to be the guy to own in that offense. Tolbert disappointed the hell out of us. What the hell happened there, man? Not at all what we wanted to see, but of course, Cowboys, they should be bouncing back. They've got a pretty good schedule going forward as far as just passing opponents. And I believe it's their playoff schedule that's juicy. You get to end the year with Carolina, Tampa Bay, and then Philly. Tolbert might be a pretty good option for you as far as just a plug-and-play piece. We saw Brandon Cooks, I think it was like 5 of 6 games. He had a touchdown there in the final end of the stretch once they really picked things up. Other guys we're looking at, Trey Tucker. Got to call him out, but it's not sexy. We've got Gardner Minshew, so we should see a little bit more offense rocking and rolling. As far as the Cleveland Browns go, you've got Tillman, you've got Judy, and Elijah Moore. My heart, folks. My heart says Elijah Moore. That rookie year, so promising. Got done dirty his second year with the Jets and Zach Wilson. And then the light. We see it at the end of the tunnel. He gets to go to Cleveland. And then I forgot who was the quarterback there. And, we've seen the last year and a half with him and Watson. And just, I can't freaking figure out why it won't work. His underlying metrics, they're there. I swear he's not bad at football, but I don't necessarily want to touch him. Judy, can he catch the damn ball? I think Tillman gives you the most excitement. If we're being honest, Njoku is the guy you want to own in this offense, but I think Tillman I'm willing to take a shot on in 12-plus man leagues. Tutu, if we do see a trade happen where Kupp doesn't start or he just doesn't play this week, they play on Thursday. Tutu is, he's a nice plug-in, wide receiver 3. And then Tyler Lockett, if we miss time from DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett's he's going to be played. Really don't like it, folks. This under I had on Tyler Lockett's season yards, it's getting closer and closer each and every week. Going back 6 targets, 8 targets, 6 targets, 9 targets, 8 targets. Wow. It's way more than the third wide receiver needs to see in that offense. We got some questions. Let's pop over. What do we have here? Logan, testing my reading level. I appreciate it. Really appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. I do have Brooks, Juju, Chase Brown, and Stevenson on the bench. Do you have any certain trade packages to make to get Njoku? And do you think I move off Kyler? I got him to stack with Marv, but they just aren't working out well. I know rookie wide receivers aren't kind of known to turn it up in the sec. That's the hardest thing. If you drafted Marvin Harrison and just knowing that, traditionally they're going to get better going into the season, things are going to look brighter. But I believe they've got a pretty rough schedule coming up. Yeah, they're looking at Miami, Chicago, the Jets, and a bye week. It's not going to get pretty over those next 4 weeks. Once they get out of the bye, it does get a little bit better. You see Seattle, Minnesota, Seattle again, New England, Carolina, the Rams. So not some hard matchups, but it's definitely, I think you wish to see more at this point of the season while you're going into this gauntlet that they have over the next month. As far as Njoku, I think it kind of depends on the owner you're shooting for. Him and Brock Bowers, I just think, are two of the few players that you can see as consistent pieces rest of season. So I think that's what really excites me about them. I like Brooks, like him as a talent. I like to see what we have going forward. But Chuba Hubbard has played so damn well. I just don't know how long it takes before we see Brooks really kick things up. They have no reason to make him the bell cow. So I'm worried that we might just get more flex, more like flex value, like fringe RB2, RB3 from him and Chuba Hubbard. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully they really feed him, but I don't see that Chuba Hubbard's going away. Chase Brown, I think, is a great upside piece to have right now. We're seeing him getting so many more opportunities than Moss. He just looks a lot better as far as efficiency, so he's a great bench stash. And then Ramondre, dude just needs to be fed. I'm trying to remember what else you had. If you could package your running backs are pretty good. Maybe Stevenson and Ferguson for Njoku, and then maybe you get an extra ancillary, a backup running back, or some kind of bench piece that they're not quite starting, but just something in return. I don't know. I'd kick the tires on it. This time of the season, I like making moves like that. Drake London's probably impossible to get in most leagues, but more casual leagues I have seen him moved. I've been able to grab him in a couple of leagues, so Drake London's one of those rest of the season guys I really like as well. It's mainly that matchup though. Oh, it's good. Mathiason's back in here. I picked up Tolbert for the Lions game and scored 0.1 more than Cooper. Yeah, look, I'm not saying it's pretty. I'm not saying it's sexy, but It's just the trying to predict and look for it. I don't see a world where Dak's going to throw as many passing yards as he is. This running game is garbage, and like there's no way it's just going to be Ferguson and CD. CD is going to be a monster going forward, but Tolbert's got a decent matchup against San Francisco, Atlanta, Philly, Houston, Washington. So I think Tolbert's going to be a flexible option. Is he going to be somebody you're going to force into your starting lineup? Probably not, but injuries are bad, folks. You have to pad your rosters right now. Find as many ways to get players on there. You're holding 2 defenses and 2 kickers. It's probably a wrong move at this point. Logan, I'm also adding Williams off the waivers this week for a little QB depth. Caleb Williams, I imagine, that's a great scoop up. Yeah, anybody who dropped him on the bye week, that's awesome. Because his next 2 games, he has Washington and Arizona. You can throw on both of them. So Williams might even be actually. That's probably going to be your go-to move if we're being honest. You had Kyler. I think you should be playing. Yeah. Kyler's got those 2 rough matchups. I'd play Caleb Williams over Kyler the next 2 weeks. I mean, hell, they'll be going head-to-head in week 9, so that'll make you pull out your hair if it gets too competitive. But yeah, I think I'd be playing Caleb Williams over Kyler these next 2 weeks. It's hard to find a quarterback that is week in and week out the guy you're going to start no matter what. Kyler and Harrison play Rams week 17, I believe. League winning stack if you can get into the playoffs and get there. Hey, that's if the Rams still have Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. If we somehow see a trade for one of or both of those players go out, the Rams may not be competitive at all. If they trade with the Vikings, you'd imagine Sam Darnold would come back, right? They need somebody back there. Who's it? Stetson Bennett, I think, is their backup. I can't even remember who else they have. The Rams. Yeah, they play the Thursday night game. Oh, they need to make this happen quick. Yeah, I didn't see their backup. Yeah. Yeah, I do like it. I did make sure I went for a few of those stacks in best ball this summer, just because we, seeing the Rams and the Cardinals play in that Week 17 matchup. Give me that. Give me that. What else you got for us here, Matthias? Son, trade all depends on what your trade partner team. Yeah, 100%. Some teams just don't fit. Offering Stevenson to people is like spitting in someone's face. It's disrespectful. Someone like Stevens. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't like Stevenson. I would never trade for him, but he's a starting running back, and extreme casuals play fantasy football than diehard. So I'll like a lot of the people I play with or some of the leagues I'm in, they're not necessarily looking at the name or what it is. They're literally looking at the stats. Okay, how often does this player play? How many touches does he get? So yeah, it's all depending on your trade partner. Mostly when I look for trades, I start combing through other teams. All right, what does this team need? All right, so I've got this team that needs running backs, this team that needs wide receivers, and this team needs a quarterback. All right, so what do I have in excess of? So which one do I make a match for? So it's honestly annoying because it takes so much more into it to send a good trade, but it's also knowing your league. I know there's people in some of my leagues that they'll take garbage. They'll take it right out of my hand. They'll put a little ketchup on it. They'll chocolatey syrup, not at the same time, but they'll spice it up a little bit and they'll call it gravy. They'll call it perfect. And you know what? I've seen some shitty freaking teams beat me with players that I would never trade for in any lifetime. But it happens. It's how it works, and that's the fun of the game. Nobody knows any of this. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this shit. We'd be sitting on a beach with the feet up in the air, sipping a beer because we got every pick right this past week. So, yeah, you're playing the odds, you're playing the opportunities, and hoping you can take one up on somebody else. We got about 15 minutes left. Again, y'all got anything else for me? Throw it in. We'll talk about we talked about wide receivers. Slide over quarterbacks. I kind of went through. I play on Sleeper. Strictly Sleeper, that's all I do. I hate the big ones just because of the ads on all the other fun stuff, but I did go through Yahoo, NFL, and ESPN checking some rosters percentages. Jared Goff, if you can get him, pick him up. After the way he's been playing the last few weeks, it might be hard to, but I did see it was like 60% in one of those leagues. This guy's playing the Titans this week. It's not really a scary matchup. I think he's got more touchdowns than incomplete passes over the last, 6 games? 4 games. 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns. Going back, he threw 3 incomplete passes, 5 incomplete passes, no incomplete passes. Yeah, the Seattle game, 18 for 18. Fucking unreal. He plays Tennessee, nice warm game at Green Bay, then Houston, Jacksonville, Indy, he's in a dome in most of these games, folks. Jared Goff was like a steal going into this season, like just as far as like, Goff, he's the indoor cat, this and that. So definitely a guy I'm going for. Tua, I don't know. You want to play him after a month of not doing anything. That's scary, knowing that one play can get knocked out. He's playing the Cardinals. He should be able to put up points, so I don't think you should be completely afraid of the guy. But outside of Superflex, I don't think you have to force it with no teams on bye this week. Next up, what are we looking at? Sam Darnold playing in the Thursday night game against the Rams. Game should give us a decent amount of points, a nice back and forth between, so I think Darnold's going to be a good play. Russell Wilson, who wants to play? I mean, going into Monday night, he was the number 1 overall quarterback. 16 for 29, gross, but 264 and 2 touchdowns, also scored one on the ground. You might have to kick the tires on him. Superflex, you definitely have to kick the tires on him. You got to go pick him up. But I don't know, single quarterback. I don't have him that high this week as far as where I want him. But he's going to be something we might be playing here going into the rest of the whatchajigs, the bye weeks. And the last guy I have, Jameis Winston. This is more of a super flex take. We hear rumors that they kind of want Dorian Thompson-Robinson to play out there, kind of see what they have in him. I don't know why. I feel like we've seen plenty of that last year. That's why they went to Flacco. But Jameis Winston, speculative ad. I think he's going to move the ball enough, give you enough points. I think they at least give us stable. And that's why I love Njoku. I absolutely love him going forward. And so does Matthias. What's up? We finally agree a little bit. I think we've agreed. I just couldn't remember. Tight end 1, in my opinion. Got to give me a top 10 wide receiver, a top 10 running back, and I don't want Ferguson. I just picked up Hawkinson and Henry off waivers. Possible scenario. Someone may dump Njoku off hype. I think that's it is. I saw Njoku on the waivers in 2 of my leagues. I picked him up in 1. I didn't have room in the other. But, yeah, it's all about perception. Looking at the Browns, they just lost their quarterbacks. A lot of people aren't going to want pieces from the Browns. A lot of people didn't want pieces from the Browns anyway. That's why Njoku was being dropped and the injury and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, you may have him there. That's why I have him there too. But like I said, these moves can be made. There's so many casuals that aren't really looking at that. They're looking at the big name guys, all these others. So, I don't know. I think it's worth kicking the tires on anyway. Worst thing you can hear is no. Just pick up Hawkinson and Henry off waivers. Henry, I like Henry for the most part, but I think it's the same kind of concern I have with Douglas going forward. It's just the schedule. It's not going to be pretty. He is playing the Jets this next week. Again, after that, he's got Tennessee, he's got Chicago, the Rams, Miami, and Indy. There you go. There's a good one. Henry, I'm just not running out there to grab. I'm trying to find a little sexier piece than him. And then Hawkinson. Love the Vikings. Love their schedule against quarterbacks, which falls to the pass catchers. So, yeah, if you can get Hawkinson for whatever reason, if he's just sitting there, if you don't have an IR league and he wasn't able to be picked up, I think that's a great grab. Yeah. Back quarterbacks. Got anything else quarterbacks? Trying to think of other guys I like streaming this week. Let me pull up my rankings. Yeah, I've got 2 at 17 this week. No need to force him into your lineup. Drake May is barely a QB2 for me. Mason Rudolph. Let's talk about a good start this week. No, I'm kidding. I'm just fucking with y'all. We don't play Mason Rudolph, folks. Not even in 3 quarterback leagues. Dingus. We don't. Tight ends. I know. I said I'm not a huge fan of Henry, but when the guy gets that many targets, it's hard to deny it. What is it? 9 targets, 8 catches, 92 yards. Again, Douglas was out for this game, so I think that also played into it. Jacksonville was putting a beating on him. He's an ad. He's an ad. Zach Ertz, Zach Ertz, I feel like it's almost been like every other week. There's weeks I absolutely hate him, and then there's weeks that I don't mind kicking the tires on him. Playing against Chicago, Daniels should be back for this game. If Daniels is out, I definitely don't want to play him. But against Chicago, it's really hard to pass on these fellas. You can run on them, but it's hard to pass. So I worry how much action we'll see from the guy. Taysom Hill, come on, Taysom. We need you healthy. If Derek Carr's back, I think that Taysom Hill's a lot different of a shot. You're not really getting it. But if Spencer Rattler's playing and we have Taysom, I think Taysom's a lot better play. But again, you're waiting for the injury. And then Noah Fant. We're chasing points where we're grabbing him. I know he's done good the last couple of weeks, especially this past week. But with DK missing time, I think that we could see some more from Noah Fant. Geno's number 1 in passing yards this year. He throws the ball a lot. We know that. Fant can catch it. Where are we at? I'm a Vikings fan. I've been having Hawks since week 1. Hey, me too. My home league, I got him pretty late. It's been sitting on the pup, sitting on my IR for a bit. I almost had to drop him a couple weeks ago because of so many injuries. But holding out, I think he should do pretty well as well. Probably like top 5, top 6-ish tight end. Once we get him acclimated coming off ACL, we can see up to 4 months before we really get to see him utilized that way. So where are we going to week 8? We're looking at right before the playoffs if he's going full speed. So fingers crossed, but, always good to have a lottery ticket. Going to add Higbee and put him in my IR spot. Doesn't hurt. Take advantage of the IR. Yeah, 100%. Most games I try to do that. If I don't have any to put in my IR spots, Sleeper, you can search by IR players. And yeah, I'll start scrolling through the IR players. Hey, who has a slight chance that I could pick up, grab, and just throw in my spot? Just to make sure your roster is always full. That's the key, folks. Always fill the roster. And the last position we got to talk about here, of course, defenses. I know. Look at those big names. Lions, Chiefs, Ravens. They're out there. I promise I did my homework. I checked to see which teams were highly owned and which weren't. And some of the best ones to go after this week. The freaking Lions, man, playing Tennessee. It's whether it's Mason Rudolph or Will Levis. They say Will Levis is actually hurt, but whether it's either one of them, the Lions have been great. They're absolutely crumble them. Baltimore Ravens. Cleveland's been the best team to play your defense against all season. That is with Deshaun Watson, so who knows? It could be a little different, but I'm gonna put my money on probably not. You can't run the ball, so Nick Chubb isn't going to abuse the Ravens, or he shouldn't. So then we're going to be counting on Jameis Winston or DTR to be throwing the ball. Kansas City got Gardner Minshew, little Minshew mania. They are 35% owned. Chiefs, I guess I could have pulled up some of the other ones as I went. Ravens 63. Okay, Ravens a little higher, but still 63. It's not 100. Kansas City Chiefs, I think they are a good play this week, going up against the Raiders. Other plays I like, we have the Chargers up here going against New Orleans. I like them whether it's Derek Carr or not. Even if Derek Carr plays, I don't think this team's going to be putting up 30 points, especially without Shaheed. Their big play guy. So at that point, I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. That's what we tend to see with the Chargers. Really, really boring games. Last one I have. I know. Look at all the Colts stuff behind me, folks. It hurts me as much as it probably hurts you, I'm sure. Because everybody loves the Colts, right? No, it's not. Houston Texans, though. I think they're a damn good ad, especially against Indy. Richardson struggles to complete 50% of his passes, so you're already going to have that. You might get a few huge bombs, but the Texans last couple of weeks, 3 sacks, 4 sacks, a couple forced fumbles, 4 interceptions over the last 2 games. They'll probably get an interception and probably hurt Richardson in the process. But these teams played in week 1. They only had a 4-point showing, the defense did against Indy, but this is a different Indy team. Most of the freaking Colts are hurt. I believe it's 17 of the 22 starters have been hurt for at least one game this season. It's garbage. Not quite like the Niners, but that's just because we don't have a lot of money put in our players. All right. Well, folks, that's all the positions I have. No kickers, no streaming kickers this week. Next week, we'll come at them. No, we won't. We like kickers. Corey will probably jump in and talk about how much he loves the kickers. I do think they add a good caveat if you know how to use them in your league settings. But yeah, that's about all I got, folks. I've got 5 minutes here, so anybody wants to throw anything out there, I'm game. I'm down to talk about whatever. I'm trying to look at anything else we want to cover here. Let's check the news. What's popped up? We got a phone call, but that's not interesting to you or actually me. Yeah, that's why I don't answer. Boring as shit, right? Yeah, Rams contacted teams about trading Cup. There you go. where do you want to see Cup go? I mean, obviously Chiefs, people want to see him go there. For fantasy, I think he'd be great. I don't think we have to see anything there to know that one. Matthias and jumping in here. Give me a little Colts love, buddy. Yeah. I need Downs to be a top 15 wide receiver. He is. That's the hard thing, man. As a Colts fan, I don't want Flacco back. I don't. Like, I'm happy to have him as a fill-in if Anthony Richardson goes down, but it's been a 3rd overall pick on him. The dude's young. He was the youngest starter to start the league again. We got to see what we have in him. Whether that means tanking a couple seasons or a season and a half with him to see where it goes, that's fine. We need the better draft pick anyway if that's the case. So I think he can make Downs. I think there can be value in Downs. Pittman's going to be there. We just paid Pittman, but I don't think he's a number 1. I think A.D. Mitchell or Josh Downs can be a 1A to Pittman's a 1B. But overall, it's not what you wanted to see. They're not passing the ball enough. Richardson, I guess he ran enough last week, but he's not doing enough with it. Like, sustained drives, man. You got to stay on the freaking field to make shit happen, and that's what we're missing right now. Would you say you're a Vikings fan? Yeah, no one wants to hear from you. No offense, man, but, one loss, you're sitting pretty. In a year that the Vikings, the idea of what you had for your season, you lost Kirk Cousins, you drafted J.J. McCarthy, so, okay, it's going to be a decent season, we're going to get the rookie his feet wet, this, and that. No, he freaking gets hurt. What was it, meniscus, I believe it was, out for the season. There is no hope left for the Vikings. They were already going to struggle. And then you got Sam Darnold that shows up looking like the Jets Jesus walking out there for him, and it's been incredible. It's been awesome. Flores, you got to be a huge fan of him and what he's able to do with that defense. KOC, not enough can be said about that guy. I'm a big fan of him, Stefanski, and a lot of those guys coming to the McVay tree. Do they have what it takes? I think that they are I guess this year they could be considered a Super Bowl contender. I don't know how real it feels. Like, does it feel like they are a great playoff contender, or does it really truly feel like they're a Super Bowl contender, Like, I could see the Vikings going in there making all the way to the NFC Championship, but, a team like the Niners, I think, or the Lions, I think that they look overall built better, but that's the beauty of the NFL, too. Anybody can win any game. We've seen some crap. We saw the Colts, several years ago, when they went and got just curb stomped by the Patriots. Went all the way to the AFC Championship. They didn't deserve it. They didn't deserve it at all. They came back, I think it was 28 points on the Chiefs. They did not deserve to go to the AFC Championship game. I was pissed we went. A, because we let the Patriots just walk into the Super Bowl. And B, we got our shit kicked in. Nobody wants to see that. So, yeah, I think any given week can happen. I think this might be the weakest. I say weakest. I don't want to take anything away from the Vikings. They look great. But just like the powerhouses of the Niners and the Chiefs, they're weak. They're weak. Their throats exposed. And I think that's why these teams need to go for it. Like the Bills going to trade for Cooper. Fuck yeah. That's what you needed to do. You're below the Chiefs. You need to step above them. That's what you need to go trade for it. So if the Vikings go get Kupp and or Stafford, that's a move that says, yeah, we're here to win. And I'm all for it at that point. Mainly, I have Darnold, Addison, every league. Love it. Hawkinson, every league. Vikings kicker. Dude, you could have been so freaking screwed. I don't want to say you lucked out. I'm sure you did your homework, checked it all out, felt good about it. But Darnold, no cost to you. Most of these players didn't cost a whole hell of a lot. But talk about buying into the team and running with it, man. That's awesome. That's freaking awesome. Big fan of Addison, man. I hope we can get some consistency out there with the wide receiver, or the quarterback place. The wide receiver can just absolutely thrive. Darnold has had Darnold moments in every game, but the defense can make it. Yeah, I think that's the key. Can they mitigate enough of the Darnold mistakes to keep them in it? Because I think he absolutely can go out there and go have a stinker, drop 3 picks, and just put the Vikings so far behind that they can't catch up. I think Aaron Jones is a huge part of this too. I'm sure most people, you saw him in Dynasty Leagues, his value just absolutely tanked just because everybody thought he was washed. So I think that a lot of that contributes to him. And can Tyler Chandler carry the load if he gets hurt? Because I am a little worried about that. Alex, I lost by 0.2 this week. face purple crying, face purple crying, face purple crying. I would be face purple crying, face blue crying, and face red crying. I feel for you. .2, that's rough. I lost by I think I won 3/4 of my league, but my favorite league, my home league, I lost by like 6 points. And, obviously not comparable. I was supposed to get my ass blown out of the water, and I came back and almost won it. But .2, those will haunt you. You're gonna be sleeping well tonight, I'm sure. You're gonna be staring there looking at your waiver wire all night, hoping you you make the right move. Montgomery didn't fumble, or if James Conner grabbed another yard. There's so many different things. If a guy would have just fallen forward, like that's all you needed. It's giving CD and Chase Brown for Monty and Debo. Bad. The only thing with Debo is he is dealing with pneumonia, fluid in his lungs right now. I haven't gotten any reports on whether or not he's going to play this week, if it's going to keep him out this week or multiple weeks. I think I like CD and Chase Brown more. That feels weird to say just because Monty's been so good, but just the fact that Monty and Debo are both a little hampered right now. CD should be, top 3 wide receiver rest of the way. Chase Brown, the offense for the Bengals scores a lot, and he is the most talented piece out of there. It's a risk move. I think a lot of it depends like how risk adverse you can be, how much you are. Monty's been playing great. Debo's been playing great, but can Monty hold it throughout the whole season? He got a break midway through the last season because of the injury, and Gibbs kind of picked it up and he finished strong. Is he going to start wearing down as we go just because of all that work? And then again, Debo always misses time. We consistently see him out, so that one's really hard for me to lean into, but I don't think it's a bad trade. There actually might be more value on the Monty Debo side, but I think it's just so much safer having CD and Chase Brown. Addison Hawkinson were undervalued in drafts because of injury and suspension possibilities. I wanted defense for Giants. Kicker just came. Vikings got sacks, turnover. Hey, I'm right there with you. Love the Vikings defense. What we saw last year from Flores, I think they outplayed how good they were last year by far. So yeah, I definitely think that it was a good shots to take. Addison, I've got him all over as well, just because of the discount you're able to get on guys like him. I mean, Deontay Johnson was there. Rashi Rice, you got a discount on as well. Started Vikings defense against the Lions and still performed. Hey, it's wild how that works. Number 7 defense in my league. Alex, I wasn't really paying attention to the game last night, but I don't understand how the Chargers chewed up most of the fourth quarter. Really thought I had a Monday Night Miracle happen. Dude, the Chargers they're no fun as far as the fantasy concerns go. Like the pieces that they have, if J.K. Dobbins if he doesn't absolutely blow up, then like you're just not getting anything from them. Kind of like what we saw last night, and they couldn't pull off the win. It's what you get. Yeah, the game was 15-17. I had to rewatch it this morning because I fell asleep last night. Dobbins gave you 8 points. Palmer gave you 8 points. Disley gave you 12, but a lot of that was because of the injury to the other tight end. It's no fun. 15-17. That's absolutely gross. Absolutely terrible. I have Taylor in my main league, so I've been rooting for Colts all year. Let's go, yeah, that's right. I don't know. I'm at that point where I'm rooting for the losses, I think. I think I'm ready for the draft pick. Give me a draft season, folks. 70% win percentage in 2 leagues, and Lamar said, hold my beer. Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Oh, man, Lamar absolutely crushed last night. Talk about a fucking performance. Him with his 42 points in my scoring format. 17 for 22, 281, and 5 touchdowns, and had 50, MVP number 3, is it coming Lamar's way? This team looks so good. I know Baker's played great, but without his top 2 targets, I think he's got a good chance of losing that now. All right, folks, they're flashing the light at me. I got to get out of here. It's been a fun hour. I can't thank you all enough for coming to hang out with me every week, 3:30 Eastern time, PM, of course. Walking the wire, you'll see me. Sometimes Brennen will be with me, but it's usually going to be me. Of course, check out the shows 5 days a week here on the Fantasy Football Advice Network. I've got shows every single day, all the fun stuff. Friday will be the betting. Start sits on Wednesday and Thursday. And of course, come check me out on the Fantasy Football Advice Network. We're all there having a damn good time. It's free to check out. It's an awesome app. It is social media for your fantasy leagues. Here it is.
We are here. We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited